The following is a presentation of Pod Media Works.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Totally Rad Movie Podcast, where we take a movie from the 80s or 90s, or in this case, 1979 for this week, and we talk about it for your viewing pleasure. The nostalgia is real. I am Scott.
Hey, it's Larry.
And we are the Totally Rad Movie Podcast. It's not dead yet.
It's not dead yet. Finally, right? I didn't even look to see when the last time we did this, but it's been a while.
It's been pre-move or
no, we did a couple both.
We did a couple down here.
Texas,
yeah. So, but yeah, it's been it's been close here. So
wait, I got it. Episode 19 was September 28th, give or take. So it's been
a little bit, yeah. But coming through here.
But
it's been a bit.
We've got a special episode, right? Because our friend Ed, Bot Wasted on Twitter, sent us a Blu-ray copy of The Jerk. Because we couldn't, because it wasn't available on any of the streaming services. It really wasn't even available on sketchy websites.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It's very weird for me not to be able to find a movie like somehow like even like there's no one like torrenting it. Like I could not find it at all. And to the point, Larry finally got me the movie because he has actually had this for a while. Ed, probably next week I'll be getting this back out in the mail for you to get that back because he didn't send a copy of the movie. He actually sent the full on Blu-ray disc. So I will need to get that back to him. So, but yes, so this week we are going to be talking about, I'm going to say, a classic comedy that, like, everyone I think most people have seen, but not a lot of people remember a whole lot about it when I have told them, like, we're talking about The Jerk, right? Everyone's like, I think I remember that movie, but, like, it's kind of hazy. So, Larry, I'm going to put you back on the spot again because it is your turn to do your thing and tell everybody the Cliff Notes version of The Jerk. Go.
So to start, I have never seen this movie up until now.
Shocker.
Yeah, I know. Right. Big surprise. So The Jerk. So I'm borrowing the starting point off of the movie poster, right? So Steve Martin, he was a poor black sharecropper's son who never dreamed he was adopted. That's like the tagline they put on the poster.
Really sets the movie up for what it is.
Really sets it up, right? So this one's really hard to describe. So it's basically a comedy, just a whole lot of nonsense. Steve Martin's character is basically just this really dumb guy, right? He grew up with his adopted black family somewhere in Mississippi. He gets old enough, I think it's his 20th birthday, gets ready to go off on his own, gets a couple crazy jobs, has some crazy stuff happen to him, ends up making an invention, gets rich, parties a little bit, loses all his money, right? And then it finds his way to basically being homeless till his family comes back and rescues him. That's basically the whole movie right there.
That's it. Kind of at the end.
A whole lot of nonsense and craziness in between.
Right. It's a lot of little like utterly ridiculous moments. It basically is to me. It's what I kind of thought like when Forrest Gump kind of came out. I was like, it's kind of like The Jerk, right? It's just an idiot who somehow does all these really ends up doing like kind of smart things, but he's an idiot, right?
Fair.
So
I mean, Forrest Gump has a lot more layers and a better story than this.
That is true, but I'm just saying
they're both a little dim-witted, right?
It's like dim-witted guys who somehow make it big, or at least do great things in life, right? But I digress. So let's go through the movie because it is kind of it's a wacky movie is the best way I can describe this. Like
I don't know what I had expected because I really didn't know much about this or like anything other than Steve Martin was in it. But And like I feel like a lot of people really liked it, right? Like you said it's pretty good. Ed said it was pretty good. I posted up the stuff this week on Instagram and Twitter saying we were going to be watching The Jerk. Alex from Secondary Heroes messaged us and it's like, hey, that's one of my favorite movies. Couch Cruncher sent us a message, be like, hey, it's one of my favorite movies. Like multiple people were like, this movie's great. I didn't quite see it as being that great, but
I think this is one of the ones. I think this is one of the ones that really hits the nostalgia kick for a lot of people. Based on the age and like a lot of the stuff, there is some really good comedy gold in this, but there's a lot of stuff that I either was funny then and really wasn't that great now. Like, because I was a kid when I think the last time I saw this. So coming back to it, I was like, this is good. But there's a lot of stuff I was like,
it had
really
funny parts, but I think the thing that I didn't like is the story didn't make a whole lot of sense because there isn't much of a story. It's just super random, right? And the jokes are kind of funny, kind of in the similar sense to Airplane, which we watched last time, a long time ago, right? It's got those funny kind of one-liner jokes and stuff. Like it was okay. I laughed a couple times.
There's one thing that made me physically laugh out loud. That we'll get to that later. Because that's my totally rad part, right? Where I legit laughed out loud. But let's go through a couple of the wacky things that happen.
Yeah,
that go through the movies. Because
sell me on this one, Scott. Why is this good? What were the funny parts?
Because there's just a bunch of ridiculous things that the setup. So one of my favorite setups in the whole thing is the phone book. Where Navin gets like super excited about getting the phone book because his name's in it. He's like, my name's in print. I'm finally something big. Like he's like, this is the sort of thing that make people take notice. And the very next scene is this guy that goes to the phone book to pick a random person. He's like, I'm going to kill a random person and lands on his name. He's like, Naveen Johnson. That's it.
Right. Goes and finds him at the gas station. Takes his rifle or whatever, goes across the street and starts shooting at him. Yeah, the phone book scene was really funny.
Right, like just that whole setup of the thing. Like, why are they bringing up this phone book thing? And it makes it funny that it kind of was the scene, and it propels him to the next area. A lot of the funniest stuff is him at the gas station. I think
so too.
Like him, like when so he works at a gas station. That's his first job after like moving away from his house. And at one point there's like some credit card thieves, like punks.
Those Cholo guys roll up like in the lowrider and try to scam him because it's the first time that the boss, Jackie Mason, who I didn't know what Jackie Mason looked like. I know Jackie Mason does the voice of Krusty's dad on The Simpsons, but I've never actually seen anything with Jackie Mason in it. So anyway, Jackie Mason, the boss leaves him alone on a Sunday for the first time, which he feels like he needs to announce to these customers who are a little bit sketchy. They give him some old lady's credit card that they stole from stealing her purse. He catches on. Which is funny too, right? So he calls the cops and there's some things going back and forth around there. It's like, hold on, wait. You guys are the 8th customer of the day. You just won a free oven mitt. I'll be right back. And he runs and goes and talks to the cops more.
Yeah. My favorite thing is when his genius idea of, I'm going to stop this car from driving away, right?
Yeah.
Is to hook a rope to the car to a church. And then the car drives and obviously is part of the comedy, right? The big part of the church rips off during a wedding.
Yeah.
And it gets
dragging it down the street.
Dragging it down this lowrider is dragging this church down the thing.
Yeah.
But I still think like his description of the vehicle, I think is still one of the favorites when he's like, it's a 2-door blue lowrider. So it has a church a small church attached.
Just see any car pulling a small church. That's them.
Yeah, right. Like, yeah,
it was funny that, and then like the other scene, the other part of the scene we talked about a little bit with the guy who's shooting at him. He's standing next to a display of oil cans, and the guy's a horrible shot, and he keeps hitting the oil cans, and then Steve Martin's like, "Hey, there's something wrong with these oil cans. They're like spontaneously just exploding," and then Jackie Mason's like, "Dude, get out of there. Somebody's shooting at you.
Yeah, like run. So he gets.
I like the bathroom scene too.
Yeah,
when Jackie Mason's like, hey, like you need a place to stay. Well, I've got a place, and they go in the bathroom. He's like, this is great. I just gotta like knock down this wall, and there'll be more room to like entertain or whatever.
But people can still come in and go use the restroom. Yeah, maybe I'll raise this part so that there's illusion of two rooms, so it's just one.
He walks in, he's doing like fixer upper on the bathroom, and then Jackie Mason's like, no, I've got another room right here. So they walk through into like this supply closet. Like, this is even more perfect. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
That was good. So let's go. So he ends up working at this gas station. A guy starts shooting at him. He runs away from the guy and ends up joining the circus.
Yeah, super random.
Of all things. But not before helping a man with his glasses that kept falling off. That he created this thing that
like a little handle.
Opta something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Geez, I had it written down here. Give me a sec.
That's preparation.
I tried.
Yeah, it was a little thing to connect, right? So your glasses don't slip off your nose because the guy was he was just a salesman who was stopping by the gas station, and he needed to use the restroom and stuff, and his glasses keep falling off.
The Optagrab.
Optagrab, because you grab it by the thing, right? And Opta, because it's eyes.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, as the guy explained to him, right? Yeah. So he creates this thing, but never sees anything. The guy said, "Oh, I'll give you 50% of the profits of it, or whatever."
Yeah.
And Nevin never really sees this guy again till we'll get to later, right? So he joins the circus, and he's the weight guesser,
right?
And then goes and meets the love of his life, Marie, right? And she doesn't want to be with him though, because he's like, she loves him, but he's not financially secure. Right. So she ends up.
Her mom expects more.
Her mom expects more. And so she leaves. Right. And in his grief, he goes back to the gas station after, losing, I guess, basically kind of losing everything at that point. Goes back to the gas station. The man who did the Optagraph tells him, he's like, dude, the thing has done so well. We've sold millions of of these things. You have tons of money. He gets a check that he thinks is for $250. Takes it to the bank and finds out it's for $250,000. And then the money just keeps rolling in. So he becomes this multi-millionaire effectively overnight.
Yeah, pretty much, right? So he gets back with Marie, gets a house, gets a nicer house, buys all this crazy stuff. I really liked the description of his house, right? It occasionally has like monologue scenes where he's writing letters back home. But one of them's to his mama, and where he's explaining, I always wanted a house with, an all red billiards room, and it shows this all red billiards room. I always wanted like a bathtub shaped like a clam, and it shows the bathroom with the bathtub shaped like a clam. I really like that scene too. Just the ridiculousness and the fact that they actually built all that. Like they must have built sets for all those crazy things in the house. Like
I don't know if it was sets or if it was just Steve Martin going through and he's like, "This is the house we got for the set," and he just wrote it to be like, "All right, what are some of the features of this house?"
It's possible, but those are pretty. I mean, those are like Elvis Presley type ridiculous things, right? Didn't Elvis have like a room full of TVs, which was super extravagant at the time? Like it must have been a crazy rich person's house if it was real.
So a couple things that I think is hilarious. He has they have a tennis court at one point, and he actually gets like 5-gallon jugs of wine that are in the water dispenser at the tennis courts. Yeah,
like you'd see lemonade at the Chipotle or something.
Yeah, exactly. But he's got the wine, or like, just like every water cooler at work, he's got two of them with different wines in it.
White wine and a red wine.
White wine and a red wine. But then every time he drinks any drink when he's rich, he puts a little paper umbrella in it because he thinks that's what rich people do. Yeah, right? It's fancy. His idea of what rich people should do and what class is kind of skewed the whole time. Like when they're in the restaurant and he gets mad about them putting snails on the food when she ordered escargot.
Yes,
And he tells the waiter to get wine. He's like, bring the wine, but bring it make it more recent.
Oh yeah, don't stop giving us this 1966 stuff. We don't want the old wine. We want bring us the newest wine,
the newest stuff.
And I guess Ed points out, right, like he wants the umbrella and the drink and does all the fancy things, just like the magazines.
Yeah, the magazines.
Makes sense, right?
He gets
that's
his
what
idea.
Poor kids do. Yeah,
yeah. He gets his idea of what's rich and high classy from pictures, but doesn't really know how to get to it. Yeah. Does potentially some kung fu after a shady deal with a Iron Balls McGinty, but then Rob Reiner, director extraordinaire, right?
Wait, Carl Reiner, right?
Or Carl Reiner.
Yeah.
Not Rob Reiner.
Rob Reiner's. Reiner. Yeah, I only know that because I watched a video about this. Rob Reiner's the son who was on All in the Family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so Carl Reiner. I mixed the two up.
Yeah,
so Carl Reiner, the director, is that thing is has got uses the Optigrab, gets permanent cross-eyedness, and files a class action lawsuit in which all of his money goes away, and he basically becomes a bum, right? His wife leaves him, his dog leaves him. Yeah. He takes what remaining stuff he can just kind of grab as he walks out and just walks off, trades everything for a thermos and becomes a bum. And then to Larry's point, his family kind of finds him. He had been sending them money. They did some wise investments and his family is rich, and it comes back. Jeremy brings up a good point that we need to talk about though. So he says, do you think they could make this movie today? I don't know. Like, just maybe the fact that they dropped the N-word a couple times. Well, there's those things that are a little. But here's the thing: it's not a black person that drops the N-word at any point in this movie. Yeah. So that one,
that alone
makes it alone. But even the idea of the way things are
wasn't
race-wise, just to go into the thing, the idea that it's a white guy who's been adopted by a black family, which happens, right? It's 100% a totally believable thing,
but it's not a joke anymore.
But that's not at that point that was a joke, and this thing, I don't think that joke would go over really well.
No, wasn't that the basis of Steve Martin's stand-up thing too? That was a joke from his stand-up. He just started off being hey, I'm Steve Martin, I was born a poor black child, ha ha ha. Yeah, they took parts of his stand-up comedy and put it into this movie.
Yeah,
I mean, you could remake it, just maybe leave out that whole part. I don't know.
Right, exactly. And to be fair, it's a funny premise that, and he's still sending the money back, but you don't have to include that part if you do a remake or you try to do this today. You just cut that part out because I don't know. Didn't really land.
It would be some. I mean, you can make a movie where a guy was poor, gets rich, has fun, loses all his stuff. That's basically the plot. You could redo that, but you can't redo the jokes because they're not that funny. If you were to remake it, it would be a super loose remake, kind of like the Vacation reboot where Rusty was all grown up. It's still kind of the same idea, right? It still has Rusty. They're going on a vacation, but it's really not the same movie. You can't do a shot by shot remake. You could just try to do an updated version. But again, I don't think I know there's certain people who like this movie a lot, but I think the general population of people who, are especially 30 and under people, younger than us, probably don't care about this movie at all.
They would not like it.
No.
And to Manny's point, he brings up another movie from around this era, which is Brewster's Millions. Had another racially charged one. The Toy.
Was Brewster's Millions the one where the guy has to spend all the money in 24 hours or something?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that one, or
I think I've seen it.
That one, or I always think back to The Toy with Richard Pryor, where he gets paid to go play with this guy's kid as his toy.
Well, that sounds creepy.
Yeah.
That's
It's
like
actually
a Michael
really
Jackson movie.
It's a really, really funny movie. It is
Okay.
it is really, really good. But there's no way in hell it's getting made again today.
Yeah.
And Ed's bringing the toy super racist. It 100% because the dad is like a racist dad who hires a black guy to be his kid's toy, and he's like super rich, right? So because his kid has every toy, but he's still bored, and he sees this guy, and he's like, "Hey, he's funny. He's gonna be my toy." It's like I'm just like it's a really bad. Like I want
not okay.
I always thought like I would want to talk about the toy on the show. That this is about the extent that I think that we could get away with talking about the awfulness of that movie in today's world. It was funny, but we'll go through that. But there's no way that some of these movies should get redone or could be made today.
Sean's in the chat too, and he says Blazing Saddles couldn't be made today.
Another
I haven't seen it, but yeah, sure.
That one, it couldn't be made today. There's too much to it, but that one is actually.
Well, they
does their racism right though. They handle that one pretty well, but it's still in there. The whole point is a commentary. I mean, that movie is a commentary about racism anyway, so like it fits in pretty well, but it's still bad.
It wouldn't like it still can be watched and maybe appreciated, right? But yeah, definitely no remakes if it's kind of borderline racist.
There's a bunch of these movies are all the ones that get the Looney Tunes treatment about like
Pepe Le Pew.
Well, not
He's
like
rapey.
Pepe Le Pew. If you remember, like a few years ago with Looney Tunes, they put this little warning being like, hey, like when these cartoons were made, super like, in the 60s and 50s or whatever, like there was a whole different way of thinking that are, sometimes. So like, they're like, we're going to put this statement to be like, there could be some racist stuff in here. Sorry.
It is what it is. This is the oldest movie we've watched on this podcast, right? Like we broke the rules of 80s and early 90s to watch 1979, and it's a little iffy.
But it's still stuff. It's still stuff I remember from being as a kid, because I can distinctly remember this was a VHS watcher for me.
Nice.
So cool. So let's go on. So
all right,
we have a little bit here that I love to get into, because for every movie that we've watched, there's parts that we really, really enjoyed, and there's parts that we really don't like. That we call them the totally rad and totally bogus moment. Larry, I want to start with the totally bogus moment.
Totally bogus.
And you get to go first.
Okay, cool.
Is your totally bogus?
I forgot how much I enjoyed those little drops. So I'm looking for it because I want to get the exact quote right. Somebody mentioned it in the chat, and I forget exactly what it was, but we haven't talked about it. Oh yeah, there it is. So you when you did your kind of quick summary of plot events, and you talked about Naven being at the carnival. And then he met Marie. You forgot about, was it Peggy? The other girl?
Patty.
Patty.
Because I implicitly held her because I'm hoping that is Patty your totally bogus moment?
I was going to say Patty's his totally bogus moment in touching his special purpose.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for. It's like, really? She got a little rapey.
The rapey lady that tattooed his name on her ass. Yeah. And then and he has another tattoo of slippery when wet. So Marie knocks her out, and then we never hear or see, or she's never mentioned again, just disappears, right? Patty's just gone. Yeah, no, the whole interaction with Patty, other than the whole special purpose thing, I didn't like the whole Patty rapey lady at all. Like, nothing about it. I was like,
taking a little advantage of the dumb guy. Like, I mean, he was into it, so I'm sure it was fine. But still,
but he's quite dumb. But yeah, like this is not one of the few times that we've actually shared.
Why? That's awesome.
A totally bogus moment where the only thing that we really could say was bad was Patty. Now the idea that he calls his boner his special purpose and that he needs to find was one of the things.
Well, and I did like the part where, he wrote a letter to his mom to tell her all about it, and she's like, "Oh, and Mom, guess what? Like, I might be sending more money next time because Patty told me, I'm getting a blowjob tomorrow.
Yeah.
So right, more jobs, more money.
So that works. All right. So I'm going to stick with that. Let's go into the totally rad moment.
Like totally rad.
You brought up mine. That's why I wanted to go through.
Okay.
Because the letter to his mom,
yeah,
that his grandma is reading out loud to the family. About the blowjob. I'm going to read it just because I think it's hilarious. So it says, "My dear family, guess what? Today I found out what my special purpose, his boner, is for. Gosh, what a great time I had. I wish the whole family could have been here with me. Maybe some other time, as I intend to do this a lot. Every chance I get. I think next week I'll be able to send more money as I may have extra work. My friend Patty has promised me a blowjob. Your loving son, Navin." So that the letter, the fact that it's his grandma reading it to his parents is funny enough. It made me laugh.
Yeah. Well,
but when you watch it,
I don't know the other members of the family. Like
Taj, his I don't know. They don't really explain who Taj is, right? But he's another one of the family members.
The guy who he wants to who's like, "Don't hug me" at the end. Is it that guy?
Yeah, one of the guys that says "Don't hug me," and he's the guy that tells him at the very beginning to like if things go to a doctor, basically if you get the clap or whatever. Yeah. Taj, his again, I don't know. They never explain what his family is.
Brother, uncle, something.
Yeah, but the family are like, that's nice or whatever, and the dad is laughing. If you watch that scene and go watch Taj's face, the actor, that guy is trying his damn hardest not to bust out laughing during that scene. Like you can tell he's just like his face is literally contorted because he was trying not to laugh. When they just went with it. It was perfect. And that to me, for whatever reason, the whole premise of that and then seeing this dude like about to lose it in the background, to me, it just warmed my heart. Right. That's the part of the movie that I just loved. It made me laugh out loud. The premise of that as a joke. Sex jokes and dealing with parents never get old. Right? Never do. So that was mine. But Larry, what about yours?
So my totally rad moment from The Jerk, you actually mentioned it before. It's a main plot point. It's when Carl Reiner shows up in the I don't say commercial, but it's not. He shows up like on the TV, right on the news, to mention the lawsuit, and he takes off his glasses and he's all cross-eyed and sits there and talks for a couple minutes. I just thought it was funny. Like, right, number one, it calls him Carl Reiner by name. Right, they're like, "Oh no, a special announcement from Carl Reiner." I'm like, "What is this? Like, he's the director. What are you doing?" But I also thought it was cool that as the director, he threw himself into his own movie. But it was pretty funny, and it's kind of true, right? Because he's like, "Oh, I'm all cross-eyed because I'm staring at this bar that's attached to my glasses all the time," and he does the whole cross-eyed, googly eye thing very, very well. So, like, that one's good. Yeah. And I also I really like the Jackie Mason one because like it's like what Simpsons like season 1. Maybe when Bart and Lisa go find Krusty's dad. So I've known who Jackie Mason is for a really long time. Like I said, I've never bothered to like Google the man's face or anything, but I didn't know who he was until I watched this movie. So right, those are my 1 and 1.5. So I'm gonna find the quote here because there's another one that I thought was quite funny, and it was mentioned in the chat was the pizza in the cup. Oh yeah, thing. Yeah. That was a good. I'm gonna call that an honorable mention. Yeah, that was pretty good because him and Marie go back to his place, which is just like a trailer. Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, I love the way you've decorated." And he's like, "Oh, thanks. I took all the stuff from the old pizza in a cup stand, and then they're eating pizza in a cup." And she's like, "This is really good." And he's like, "Oh yeah, the new pizza in the cup shut down the old pizza in a cup." Yeah. It's like he ran the old pizza in the cup guy out of business. Yeah, basically people come from all over to eat this. I'm intrigued. I would like to eat pizza in a cup. Just the idea that there was two competing pizza in a cup. Well, yeah, and they're eating one on stuff that he got from the one that went out of business because the second one showed up. Like, honorable mention to the whole pizza in a cup conversation because that was an out of left field that got me good. That is true. It was I want to try pizza in a cup. I'm not gonna lie, right? It's basically a cup of noodles, like the styrofoam cup they had looked like a cup of noodles. But I'm intrigued. Have you had actually like I've made pizza in like a coffee mug before. Like Ian found a recipe online where you I think was like you put dough and then like some cheese and sauce on top. I think I've kind of had pizza in a cup.
Kind of.
Now that I mentioned it, it's basically the same thing, except for it was in a coffee mug, not a styrofoam mug. So interesting.
When we would go camping, I do a lot of things where you take like the Dutch oven, right, and you'd put like dough, like not pizza dough, but like biscuits or whatever, and like pizza toppings and stuff, and throw it in the like the fire or whatever, and do the Dutch oven cooking to have like pizza. And you could easily just have those in a cup, put it in a cup, and you're good. So that.
Interesting.
So that works. All right. So I think it's time that we go into the ratings here to find out what we actually thought of 1979's The Jerk.
I forgot about that.
I gotta bring this up here again because it's been a while.
Yeah.
So we go 1 through 5, but we don't base it off of just total quality movie. We go with, does this movie still entertain us today as it did back then? Through that lens, do we give that the 1 through the 5? Larry, what is your rating of The Jerk?
I did forget about this part, but wow. So it's definitely low. I was originally thinking 1, but you know what? It did have some funny parts. So I'm gonna give The Jerk a 2.
Okay,
solid 2.
Solid 2. So I'm going over thing. There was enough in it that entertained me, and I think the good outweighed the bad for the movie. Or I'm not even going to say bad. I'm just going to say there's some stuff that was like meh, right? The good outweighed the meh. There was nothing really bad except for Patty, and so it was like the meh. So I'm going to give it a 3.
Okay,
I thought it was pretty good.
Ed is concerned about your Dutch oven and you farting on your food. Just saying. Shouldn't fart on your food.
It gives it flavor. Come on.
Tasty.
Yep.
Well, that was fun.
Yes, it was good. I am excited that we can start this up again. And
did we pick something for?
I did pick another movie.
Next time?
I did.
Okay, is it easily available?
It is. It is on HBO Max, so everyone on here who has HBO can watch it with us. I've already known what we're gonna do. We skipped over the first one of these, but we're gonna go with we're gonna jump straight to the sequel. We're watching Gremlins 2.
That's right. Yeah. All right, cool.
Because there's a lot of discussion to be had about the ridiculousness of Gremlins 2.
That's right. I forgot we talked about that on the main STS Guys a couple weeks ago. And I hadn't seen it. I think that's right. That's basically how this podcast exists. Is we just start talking and it's like, oh, that movie Larry hasn't seen that he probably should see. I've seen Gremlins 1, but yeah, I've never seen Gremlins 2.
I'm gonna go on I think the limb here. I think out of the 20 of these that we've done, I'm gonna say I think maybe 2 of them are ones that you've actually seen. Yeah,
it's a very, very low number.
Yeah.
Right. So. It's very low. I'm looking at them right now. So. It's like Die Hard and maybe Wayne's World and Beetlejuice. If you haven't, if this is the first episode of the Totally Rad Movie Podcast you're listening to, there's 19 other amazing episodes where we review great movies like Masters of the Universe, Top Gun, and Theodore Rex. Just saying. Available wherever you listen to podcasts.
So, Larry, well, now that you're doing that, Larry, I think it's time for you to do your thing.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know exactly how I do this for Totally Rad anymore, but I think it goes something like, if you want to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, we're at Totally Rad Pod. You can also follow the STS Guys. We're on Instagram at STS Guys. We're on Twitter at STS Guys. And we're on Facebook at the STS Guys. And I'm Larry from the STS Guys.
Boom.
Shilling like villain. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. That's the other channel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But that works. So cool. All right.
Well, so as is tradition. So we're wrapping up. Stick around for a second if you're watching. If you didn't know, we're recording this live on Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. But one of the great things about Twitch is you can raid people. And as is tradition, our friend, Goat vs. Fish, just happens to be live right now.
That guy is live
on a Thursday night. So let's go ahead and raid Goat vs. Fish. Shout out to the chat, right? Thank you, Manny, Sean. I know Jessica was here. Ed, super special shout out to Ed for actually
getting us
sponsoring this episode by sending us the DVD. So thank you guys for all hanging out. We super appreciate it. I saw Laser Game Plays too, and Jeremy. I'm probably missing some people. Oh, Middle Newland from Toy Rewind Podcast. Those guys are great. So yeah, thank you everybody for hanging out, and shout out to the audio listeners as well.
So
We're back,
there you
baby.
go. We're back, baby. We're not dead yet. Back
Not
from the dead.
yet.
Oh, cool. Any final things you have to say about the jerk?
No. I hope Gremlins 2 is better. I'll just leave it there. Hope it better be.
Be prepared to be amazed.
Yeah.
All right. So for this week's episode of the Totally Rad Movie Pod, I am Scott.
Hey, it's Larry.
And everybody have a good night. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.